And you're listening to Communities Live on Sheffield Live Radio 93.2 FM with Susie Casson.
Ian France.
And...
guest in the studio today, I'm Paul Casson-Yardley. Thanks for having me here.
Just nodded off then.
Yeah, well, I was sent out to make the tea.
And Ian's going to interview Paul Casson-Yardley.
Hello, good afternoon.
Paul. Good afternoon, yeah. Paul, you have your own sculpture.
I do indeed, yes.
You are a sculptor.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm a sculptor, yeah.
And you title yourself Capo Ferro Sculptor. So do you want to tell us a bit about that first of all?
That's right. Yeah, it's called Capo Ferro Sculptor. It's Capo Ferro. It means head of steel in Italian, and the tools that we use to sculpt with are obviously made of steel and metal. So they're used for chiseling out your work, etc. So once I got a chisel in my hand, I thought, well, it's a head, it's steel. I use the Italian word for it, Capo Ferro.
I see.
And it somehow stuck.
And how long ago was that then, Paul?
About 8 years ago now.
Yeah.
When I started sculpting.
And how did you get interested in the first place then?
Well, I've always been interested in sculpture and art general, and being an ex-art teacher, it came up from that. So I decided I would continue and make a profession out of sculpting.
And has that proved worthwhile in terms of, I suppose, financially as well as...
Well, it varies. It's up and down, really. Sometimes it has, good seasons. Sometimes it has bad seasons, like anything else.
Yeah. The old artist never knowing whether it's feast or famine.
That's right. That's right.
So you started that about 8 years ago, and the current project you're involved in is the Ully Green Man Challenge, which I've seen little bits about on Facebook and things, but I don't really know a lot more about it. So can you tell us a bit more about the Green Man?
Well, the Green Man, basically, it's like green-headed foilet man that you sometimes see on churches and other secular buildings and medieval temples, etc., and sometimes on trees. He's been around now for, I would say, probably 2 millennia.
Really?
Yeah. It's a tremendous thing, and it controls quite a lot of attention if you actually see one. So I would say he's been around in his guises for over 2 millennia. Sometimes known as Jack in the Green, John Barleycorn, also Robin Hood.
I see. And has he got some significance in that he's found on walls and buildings? Is that?
There's a lot of theories behind it, and a lot of it is just. It's an enigma, really, but nobody's really deduced what it really is. Some people say it's a pre-Christian design. But from what we have found, from historians, it seems that when Britain was covered by woodlands, a lot of the feudal landlords uprooted people because they wanted their lands, because they couldn't cut all the trees down. So the people fled into the forest, hence the legend of Robin Hood. And they were outnumbered by feudal troops, by the feudal landlords, barons, etc. So, of course, they couldn't fight a man-to-man war, so they turned to guerrilla warfare, which was fighting from within the forest. So they would be dressed in green, they probably would put woad on the face, and they sculpted and carved into the trees faces of green men, and it served as a warning to troops coming into the forest that they would encounter a guerrilla resistance. Sort of
So almost like a psychological war of a kind.
Yes.
It put a bit of fear into them. That they didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, and they wouldn't always see it. And somebody would look up at a tree and see a green man looking at them. And as you quite rightly said, psychologically it would install a fear. If that was a carved one watching them, how many real ones were actually watching them?
Yeah.
A fully armed insurrectional army hidden within the woodland.
Right, I see. Now, so you've recently set up this sculpture trail at Ully Country Park, which I'm conscious is not that far from Loxley, which is, of course, the legend of Robin of Loxley is not that far away. So
true, yes.
But can you tell us a bit more about what things are like out at Ully?
Yeah, Ully is a reservoir just on the Sheffield-Rotherham border. It's very popular for dog walkers. It's a flat even service, so you get quite a lot of joggers around there. It's accessible for mobility scooters, etc. So you get lots of different, diverse demographic of people visiting it.
Yeah.
There's a yacht club there as well. A lot of school parties do, canoe trips and yachting and various activities. Again, there's archery there as well, the schools use. But what it was, we just had to set a trail up there by attaching green men to trees and other places, not exactly say where they are, for the public to find, especially schools. A lot of people these days, they use mobile phones and they're looking down all the time, texting or whatever you do with your iPhone or etc. I'm a bit of a Luddite when it comes to that, and they don't look up. And it's to encourage people not only to look up, to identify what tree the green man's on, what the foliage is, and basically to get connected with nature a little bit more. Really, just situational awareness, I think, is behind it all.
Yeah, I think that's right. That we seem to have, we spend more time looking at a screen and missing the stuff that's actually around us. And in actual fact, you talking of the sailing thing, it reminds me of I've been out to Whalley fairly recently, and there's quite a lot to see out there, isn't there? So once you've got people to get their head up, there's all the sailing that's on the actual water, and there's a trail, like a high wire trail there as well, up in the trees, isn't there? I seem to think there's some sort of like an adventure trail up there. I've
not seen that yet.
Right.
Maybe, but I'll look into that.
Maybe I'm on a different stretch of water anyway. I might be wrong. So you said it's quite accessible, and there are paths all around.
Yeah.
And does the trail does it go all around the lake?
Not that far yet. It will do as we extend it, but at this moment it's just around the first part of the lake around to the road bridge. But there's a number of green man for them to spot. So it's a challenge, and you can get a trail map which is priced at £1, and you can get that from Gilthwaite Nurseries, or you can get it from the Holiday Inn at Canklow Roundabout.
So, Paul, before we went to music, you were talking about the Green Man Trail, and you told us how to obtain a challenge sheet and where to get them from. I wondered if you'd just repeat that for us, just because I was conscious last week we were talking about things to do with families that they can do as a family, and it's inexpensive. And so, fire away.
Yeah, it's an activity for all ages. You can collect a Ully Green Man challenge sheet for £1. Credit bunching £1 from the Holiday Inn at Canklow Roundabout or Gilthwaite Nurseries on Gilthwaite Hill. That's near Ully Reservoir.
Lovely, thank you. So I've heard that there's going to be a Green Man Gallery. What's that all about?
Yeah, if they spot the correct amount of green men that are on Ully Reservoir, I'm not going to say how many they are, but there's quite a substantial number of them. They spot them all, and they return the quiz sheets back to Gilthwaite Nurseries or back to the Holiday Inn. The correct answers will get into the Hall of Fame at the Green Man Gallery. That's going to be set up at Thriber Country Park. So if they sketch a picture of a green man or ideas or even a photo of it, if there's any graphic designers out there who like to have a little go and change the colour of it, that sort of thing, and send them in, then they will feature at the Green Man Gallery. I notice in the future they will also receive a free piece of sculpture, a free Green Man foilet head.
Very nice.
Which can be outdoors in all weathers.
That sounds like a real incentive to get out there, and quite a challenge to put your own individual spin on the Green Man Challenge. Talking of challenges, did this setting up this trail present you with any particular challenges?
It did, because they are sculpted pieces of work, and they are quite heavy, dropping them on your foot, that sort of thing, and carrying them around logistically, and getting them up onto trees in various places. We had to get the help of a tree surgeon and an albicculturist, that sort of thing, to assist us doing it. So the logistics there were quite difficult, but once it started to get underway, it sort of like dominoes, it began to escalate like a rolling stone.
Yeah.
Or rolling stone head, I should say.
So there was logistical points of getting it into place. And how are the pieces fixed? Are they fixed to trees, or are they?
Well, they're fixed to numerous places. I don't want to say how they're fixed, because
no, sorry.
there's somebody coming on with bolt cutters and selling them somewhere.
Fixed might be unfixed just as quickly.
So that's how I got them in the first place. No, I'm joking there.
Yeah. So that was the challenges of the sculpture trail. And what's been the upside of it, if you like? What have you found most enjoyable about this project?
Well, obviously researching the Green Man and sculpting the different faces and the different greens and foliage, disgorging foliage in the mouth, different trees, just basically different designs of heads, from a holly king to an oak king. So the holly is sort of more of a winter one, and the oak king is more of a summer one. And ash design leaves and that sort of thing. A few other different types of trees and deciduous and coniferous wood in between that.
Yeah, that does sound like an interesting bit of work that you've been doing there, the research to it in the background. So this is an ongoing project. You say it's not finished yet?
Not finished yet. It's like the green man itself, which disgorges foliage and carries on and on and on. It builds up. So yeah, it's ongoing, and more designs will be out there. And then we're moving on to Thriber. That's Thriber Country Park. After that, which is a larger expanse of water and also quite a large forested area around it. And following that, we've just started at Aston Springs Farm, which is a fishing lake just outside Aston in Sheffield, and there's going to be a trail around there as well.
All continuing the theme of the green man.
Yeah.
So it's keeping you busy then.
It's keeping me very busy, at the moment.
And sculptor's work is never done.
I'm keeping all my chisels in the fire, so to speak.
Yeah. Okay, so if people wanted to find out more about this and, with an interest in going, how do they go about that?
Well, they can visit the website.
Yep, you want to give us
which is www.capoferro. That's www.capoferro. That's spelled CAPOFERRO.co.uk. So once again, I'll read that for you again. That's www.capoferro.co.uk.